So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Family Matters. It is so awesome that you could come and join us again. As we know, this is the platform by which real people come on and share real stories. And as always, the aim of Family Matters is to, encourage God-centered marriages and families, just relationships, growing relationships, by sharing stories of, encouragement and real experiences. So that's going to happen tonight for sure. Now, I'm Darren. This is
Josie.
And we are going to be your hosts this evening. You might have seen us here before doing this very thing. It's happened once before because, well, Robert and Sharon, our loyal hosts, also have stuff to share. And I told you they have stuff to share the last time, and that they do. So tonight they are on the flip side. They are on the other side answering the questions and sharing. So really look forward to hearing from them for a change, because, they've been such wonderful servants facilitating this platform.
It's quite nice to have a break, actually, and to just sit here and relax while you guys do all the hard work. It's great.
Enjoy.
You deserve it, guys. And it's more relaxing sitting where you are sitting. I'm just going to say that now. So please enjoy it, because you don't get it that often. And we'll just wear it tonight. But I'm excited. This is a real cool subject. So Robert and Sharon, welcome. We'll make it official. Thank you for doing this.
Good to be here.
And tonight, it's date night. We're talking to Robert and Sharon about date nights. Now, you might be sitting here, you might be thinking, you know what, I could do with a little bit more joy in my marriage. I could do with a little bit more laughter, a bit more fun, maybe just a boost to our marriage. And if that's the case, then you've definitely come to the right place. Perhaps you have in the past sat down in the evenings on the couch and you've looked at your husband or wife and you've said, darling, what do you want to do tonight?
I don't know. What do you want to do?
I don't really know. What do you want to do? Does that sound familiar? Because it feels natural for me and Josie to say that. And if that's the case, then you've come to the right place. Date nights with Robert and Sharon. Even if your marriage is absolutely blooming and you're sitting there thinking, our marriage is wonderful, it's great, I'm going to say, well, that's just awesome, guys. And then I'm also going to say, stay tuned, because this could still be really, really beneficial for you, as it has been for us, me and Josie, just thinking about it. So before we get too far into it, I want to open this session with a word of prayer. Our dear Father in heaven, we desire that you are present and are very much involved in our discussion tonight. We pray that you would be with us. We ask you, as always, to be assistance in all that we do, no more so than in our relationships and our marriages in particular. We know that our marriages are so important and are like a representation of Jesus and his connection with the ecclesia. So with that in mind, we really realize the importance of our roles in our marriage and our connection, and making sure it's strong. And we just are always reminded that it's you that are the bond in which that can happen. So we are so grateful to have your presence with us this evening. Please be with us. Bless Robert and Sharon as they share date nights with us tonight to encourage us in our marriage, to build our marriage. And yeah, we're just very, very grateful to be here in this platform of sharing. Thank you in the Lord's, the Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So as is traditional, we have a couple of, I've got a couple of verses, Bible verses. Always got to include God in these. And here's a good one from Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9. Check this one out. This is great in terms of connections with our marriage discussion tonight. It says, enjoy life with the wife whom you love, all the days of your vain life that has been given to you under the sun, because that is your portion in life, and your toil at which you toil under the sun. Now that verse, I mean, it starts off really well. Enjoy the life with the wife whom you love, and then it gets into this, that's your portion and your toil under the sun. It just really feels like to me in this verse that we need a date night included. We need date nights. But that was just one. And I also like this other verse from Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as the day approaches. And so here's a wonderful, sort of guideline, or pretty much a rundown of what we're going to try to achieve tonight, encouraging each other. Great. Shall we get into it, Robert and Sharon? I'm excited.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Let's start with this one question. What is date night?
Well, for us, date night is like, for us, it's a Thursday night. It's a time when we can get together by ourselves, enjoy some time together, have some time to communicate, to talk, to spend quality time together, to make memories together. And just to grow our relationship, really. That's my definition.
I would also say it doesn't have to be a night. It doesn't have to be an evening. It can be a day, but obviously with most people working during a weekday or looking after children during a weekday, evenings are often the opportunity. But potentially sometimes it could be a day over the weekend as well. So we just call it date nights because our once a week time tends to be an evening. That's when it works.
And then we also have like a weekend away as well, once or twice a year, which is really good. Just Sharon and I, and we just get away for a weekend, and that's like a really great date night all weekend.
Awesome.
Mornings and evenings and days, and
Date night is just a label for a phenomenon in your marriage. So let's just try and break this down and then see what we can find in it that's awesome and encouraging, which it definitely is. Do we want to start then with where did it start? When did it start? And how did it all start?
Well, we were thinking about this, and we can't remember exactly when it started. It was years and years ago, and like one of our early memories is a date before we had kids. But definitely we did it when our kids were really young. So yeah, that's how long ago it was. So probably maybe most of our marriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I didn't expect that. I was thinking this is something. So I was going to say this is something that's just happened after the last year or so. This is huge. 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
This is a whole of our married life thing. Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
What were you saying, Sharon?
I was just going to say when our children were young, it used to be a date night in at home, and it would be 7:30 bedtime on a Thursday night.
For the kids.
For the kids.
Yeah,
for the kids.
not for us.
And they didn't have to go to sleep at that stage because some of them were a bit beyond needing to go to sleep at 7:30, but they were expected to be in their room, stay in their room after that time. Yeah.
So they could read or do homework or whatever they felt like, but we put them to bed for 7:30 and closed the door, and that was it. Then we had the house to ourselves.
Yeah, and we were very blessed that they didn't come wandering out. Yeah. They did adhere to the rule.
Yeah, that's really valuable to know that in fact date night's been going on for so long for you guys, and it started when you had young kids, because I know there are people here that have young children and are thinking, how can we implement date nights or do something similar?
Yeah.
And there's a challenge there when it comes to having little children. So you were able to work around that.
Yeah, well, I suppose, I mean, traditional date is that you go out together somewhere and, you know, I don't know, you go to a movie or you go to play mini golf or something like that. That's your traditional date. And when you've got young kids, it's really hard to find a babysitter every single week, or you don't want to, well, we didn't want to impose on people every week or pay people every week to babysit. So, yeah, you had to find a different way of doing it. So date night in the bedroom or when the kids are in bed, or, you know, is the time to do it. Yeah. And you make the most of the opportunities you get.
Yeah. And how did it come about? How did you decide, oh, this is a good thing that we are going to do?
Long time ago, I know. But
I don't remember how it happened either. Possibly it came on the back of going to a parenting or a marriage
Could have been.
course at the time. But I do remember that the 7:30 bedtimes came about from a discussion from another couple at the Bible school who had children probably a similar age to our own, and they said that's what they did. Children in their bedroom at 7:30 once a week, and that was their night to spend time together.
Yeah.
Yeah, their connection time. So we thought, sounds good, we'll try it.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were both pretty unanimous on your desire to give it a go as well.
Yeah. I was right into the fun side of it, and Sharon was right into the purposeful side of it. So we made a good team.
Perfect. Purpose, fun, tick. Okay, that's good. So that's good. You've established some really good groundwork. So date night, a time of sharing, just togetherness for you guys and for you alone. It's once a week. It is to the best of your ability. It's Thursday, just to be exact.
Thursday for us, it works for us. Yeah.
There we go. And it's been going on for 20 years. And it's a real, obviously, it's locked into your day-to-day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We would say it's probably one of the most significantly impactful things that we've done in our marriage. We just highly recommend it. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, it's been brilliant for our marriage.
Time of connection.
It's so strengthening. Yeah, and it's not the fact that you're doing like one thing that sort of like grabs you and pulls you together. Like we wrote our book, for instance, about marriage, and that was really great because that really pulled us together over that 6-month period where we wrote it. But date nights is a lot more like a drip feed, you know, and it just keeps you strong. Once a week, just that little bit more, and the bucket fills up. Well, as we were talking about last week, the love tank fills up, you know. It's really cool.
Yeah, good analogy. I've just got a little note from what I remember you said a while back. It was that you didn't actually date before you were married much or at all. Can you explain that a little bit?
Not really. We sort of, we didn't really date. We sort of.
He never asked me out. Ever. No.
Right, this interview's over.
It just kind of happened. It just,
Our together times were at CYC, at the meeting and at Bible class, and we spend a bit of time together over the weekends as well. So we did go out for walks and things like that. But we never sort of like, you know, I never invited her out for a date or anything. It's just, we spent a lot of time on the phone. And
spent time together.
Just spent time together, but we didn't specifically date.
It happened.
We had to wait for that till after we were married.
Well, you've more than made up for it, Robert, and I reckon Robert and Sharon, because I honestly think that you've probably dated more than anybody. There you go. There's a lot of dates every week for 20 years. So I want to get right into it now.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? Like, we're asking, me and Josie are asking, so what should we do? And she responds, I don't know what to do. What do you want to do? Give us some ideas. What do you do?
Can we just take a step back just before we go into what do we do, just to make a comment that an interesting thing we've read in a couple of books, just more recently actually, stated that keeping joy alive in a marriage is actually far more important than
even communication.
That joy-filled marriages are much more likely to stick together, and so I would say that date nights is one of those things that help to fill the joy tank in that way.
Yeah.
To create experiences that can be fun.
Yeah. So you've got a thing called well, you put joy in your life. You have a little bit of joy today, you have a little bit of joy tomorrow, and you have a little bit of joy next week, and so on. And if you have too long in between those gaps, you end up in between those bubbles of joy, you end up with a gap, and you can call it a joy gap. And if you end up with big joy gaps in your marriage, those gaps tend to automatically fill up with resentment and grumbling and
taking each other for granted, if nothing else.
Taking each other for granted, yeah. And so, and those sort of attitudes are really poisonous in a marriage. So one of the ideas with date nights is to shrink that joy gap so that you have more joy more regularly, and there's not so much room for the grumbling and the negativity to come into it. And so, yeah, building that joy through date nights is really good. It's really important.
Yeah, that's a really interesting comment that they rate that higher than communication.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, as I think we were talking about last time, in terms of communication, you do communicate every day when you're married, but you don't often have, you don't every day need to have those big in-depth chats that involve a lot of communication. But it is nice to be joyful and enjoy each other's company every day, like it is about the everyday, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess the purpose that that we see date nights as having is to create fun. So, to create an enjoyable time together. It's also a time to have some good one-on-one communication without interruptions. It's time to...
In private.
It's time to discuss any of the things that might be problematic that have cropped up during the week.
Or the children.
It's a great time to discuss spiritual things that we've been thinking about, talks that Robert's writing, or things that have got coming up, or we've had just such amazing discussions during that time. It's a time that we have a little formula that we do every week, and we ask each other, what's been your best thing this week? What's been your worst thing this week? And what can I pray for you about? And at the end of the evening, we will just sit in the car and we will do that prayer time together.
Well, or depending on where we are.
Depending on where we are.
If we're inside, we won't go out to the car.
Yeah. Great moment to complete the evening by having a time of prayer together.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be all based around just personal fun time enjoyment. There's been the occasional date night where we've included others, either going on a hospital visit or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing in a marriage as well, is to be able to look outside of just yourselves and to go, we need to think about other people in this, and we're going to do this together.
And it's a really good joy building thing as well, because when you're reaching out and helping other people, you know what it's like when you give a gift and someone really enjoys it, it's sort of like, yeah, that felt good. you know, and doing the same as a couple fills you with joy as well, and closes that joy gap a little bit more, which is really cool.
So yeah, so anyway, that's the groundwork of what the purpose of date nights, or what we see the purpose of date nights as doing.
Yeah.
And getting back to our previous question, which is what do we do?
Well, I want to ask that question. I do want to ask that question, but now that you've said that, I just want to say prayer to God is always like a staple for your date nights. Then that's a given each time.
Yeah.
It's become that way. It wasn't that way all the way through.
But it has developed.
It's developed. When we were first married, we used to pray together every night before we went to sleep. But that's become increasingly harder because Robert tends to go to bed by 8 or 8:30 because he gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not quite so early to bed, and neither am I awake as early as he is.
So we always have a prayer together in the morning when I wake up about 5.
But he says it out loud, but I don't hear it. So Thursday night we thought, right, we need to reconnect with prayer, and that became the opportunity to do so at a time when we're both awake.
Yeah, or reasonably awake.
Reasonably awake, yeah.
So that's where we'll go. What would you like prayer for this week? And it's great because we get a chance to actually not only focus that particular prayer on what each other needs, but also it gives us a focus for prayer for the rest of the week as well, which is really cool. If we ask that on a date night,
Yeah. Well, your purpose is so full. It's so full. Like, I'm just thinking, how does 1 week a night cut it? You've got so much to achieve in this date night. And well, you've achieved a lot already. So give us your highlights. What is like some of the best things that you've done that's kept date night absolutely alive and working and flowing week to week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just a step back. Again,
that's fine.
It can be really routine, and I tend to default to, some of the usual things.
So Sharon likes driving around Bucklands Beach and Eastern Beach, and we'll basically do the circuit that does the 2 beaches, and we might get out and have a walk if we've got a bit of time.
Yeah.
Or sit there and watch the sunset or something like that.
Or have dinner at the beach.
Yeah. So that's Sharon's go-to.
That's been my go-to. Robert's loved a lot more variety, so he introduced us at one stage to A to Z date night.
Alphabet dates. They were great. They've been my favourite. My favourite periods of date nights have been the alphabet dates, and I'll tell you how they work. So the first one was A, obviously, and I just heard about this on the radio, and I thought, it sounds like a great idea, because we were sort of a little bit stuck in a rut, sort of like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And off we'd go, and we'd go drive around the beaches. And
Sharon's idea.
Or walk around the basin, or go and have a spa or something like that. So, it's sort of, it was sort of, we had about 4 or 5 routine things that we generally did, and it was getting pretty. Let's go. It was good, still good, always good, but Anyway, so A came up, and I went, oh, okay, I'll take you out. I'll take Sharon out I said to Sharon, got a date night Thursday night. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to take you out. And I didn't tell her. I don't think I told you where I was going, but we were going out, and we went out to Ambury Farm Park, and it was pitch black, and we stumbled over the whole farm in the dark. Didn't take any torches or anything. Stumbled through the mud and the paths and thankfully we weren't chased by any bulls in the dark or anything like that, but it was good. We went out to Ambury Farm Park, and while we were there, I said to I think we should start this. This is Ambury Farm Park, starts with A, and let's do an alphabet dates. So next week, Sharon came to the party, and she began with a family meal of burgers.
This was B, so B themed.
B-themed meal. So we had beans, beef, beetroot, broccoli burgers.
Wow.
Yep,
For
that
dinner?
covers everything that you can eat starting with B.
And a blueberry smoothie for dessert.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What is broccoli like in a burger?
Oh, it's fantastic. You
Probably.
should try it.
Yeah, got beans as well.
On B nights, Josie,
And
you've got to have broccoli in the burger.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Okay.
Yep.
Like, that's at the bar. So thereafter, we had to have a themed meal for every date night for the different letter of the alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing we also did was we often dressed in clothes that matched that letter as well, which was quite cool. So, you know, like B might be quite easy because you might just wear brown, but you know,
blue.
or blue, or you know, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, that was quite cool. You know, you're thinking about what you're wearing as well as what you're doing and what you're eating.
Yeah, that's cool. You really got to think about that one, eh? You've got you've got 2 weeks to think about your letter essentially, because it's alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can really make that letter pop, if you like.
Yeah.
And obviously an apple wasn't good enough on A night. You had to go to that farm. So obviously, you know, you want to push it, you want to kind of and really make the other person guess. And cool. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I really enjoyed about it was that it really made us think about what we were going to do, how we were going to make the most of the time, and just meant we were actually doing something together that was probably a little bit more unusual. Yeah, like for the H one, Sharon organised that one, and we went to Howick Beach. She drew a hopscotch on the sand, and we played hopscotch until my hips gave out.
Well done.
And then we went to Howick Historical Village and sat outside there because it was closed. Yeah, and it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
So many H's.
But it's nice knowing, I guess, as well, to receive that thought from the other person, like to know that that person is thinking about it for a couple of weeks. It's quite nice to know, you know, the feeling that, oh, that's nice, they've been thinking about that for us.
Yeah.
And especially when they do something, like especially when like Sharon's done something and she's gone, Robert will really enjoy this.
Yeah.
You know, it might not be something she would enjoy so much, but she's thought about it and gone, Robert will really enjoy that. Or I know maybe I do try and do the same. You know, we go.
Oh yeah, we went to the historic house.
Oh yes, that's right. For
For
another H.
Yeah.
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 That was.
He knows I love going to historic houses, so he actually moved it to a weekend day. So that was a Saturday, and we went to this historic house because I love historic houses. He couldn't care less, but he did that for me. Yeah.
Someone built that a long time ago.
Yeah, that's really nice.
I like it.
It means a lot.
It's almost like you can look back on those 26 dates. Is there 26 letters?
Yeah.
Yep, thought so. You can look back on those 26 dates and you can remember, you know, you can remember them all. And like years later, you go, oh yeah, we did that. And so that's kind of cool, looking back.
It is.
Tell me what Q. Tell me what you do for Q.
Well, that was my one to organise, and it was a difficult one. So we ended up, we drove down Queen's Road in Panmure. We went up Mount Wellington, and we had a look at the quarry on the other side of the hill. Then we drove.
We stood in the quarry actually.
We could have done, yeah. And then we went down to the end of the bottom of Panmure and walked out on the quay, the wharf. And then we just did a whole lot of really fairly random queue things. And then we went to the supermarket. I think we bought something for dessert. We must have had a queue thing. I must have dreamed up for dessert or something. But anyway, we bought whatever we chose whatever it was, and then we went and stood in a queue. And that was that was actually really funny because there was this checkout, and we went, so which one's got the longest queue? So we went and stood in that one. And next thing, this other checkout operator comes along, opens the checkout next door and goes, "Oh, come across here." And we went, "Oh, no. We'd rather stand in the queue thing."
This is our date night, man. Don't ruin our date night. We're doing queue.
Yeah.
That's so good. See, that's fun. That's funny, isn't it? That's talking about memories.
It's so memorable.
Yeah. And you just have a bit of fun with it. You just enjoy the journey, and it's not always perfect, and it doesn't have to be always perfect because it's not about the end result. It is about the journey. And I'll let Robert share one of the most imperfect ones we've had.
Yeah, those are the ones you actually remember more than other ones.
Right.
I organised this date. It probably was before we had kids or we had babysitters in or
No,
something.
it was definitely before children.
Before children,
Yeah.
okay. And I'd seen this place up Dominion Road that had this big camel painted on the front of it, and I thought, oh look, there's a Mediterranean restaurant. We haven't really done much Mediterranean eating. I thought I'll organise this. We'll go there on a Thursday night. Because it's a Thursday night, it won't be that busy, so I won't have to book or anything. So I didn't book. And then I thought we'll go to a movie afterwards. So I'd done my research and I find out what movie I wanted to see, what cinema it was at, and time and that sort of thing. So anyway, took Sharon down Dominion Road, and we get to this place, and I'm sort of driving along the road looking for it, and go, oh, there it is. And we started to turn in there, and Sharon goes, where are we going? I said, oh, there's a Mediterranean restaurant in here. I said, see the camel on the wall? And she sort of looks at me and she goes, that's a dry cleaners. Well, I'd only seen it from a distance. So we went to KFC instead.
Classy.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So anyway, we had KFC in the car. And then we went to go to this movie, and sort of walked in there, plenty of time to spare. Walked in there, had a bit of a look around, and went up to the ticket place and asked the girl at the counter and said, "Oh, can we have 2 tickets to whatever the thing was?" I can't remember what it was now, and would have been 28 years ago. And she looks at us really strange, and she says, "You sure?" I said, yeah, that's the one that we want to see. And she said, that started an hour ago.
Oh, this night's getting good.
It's already halfway through, yeah.
So we didn't bother.
Yeah.
We came home and we hadn't achieved anything that Robert had initially set out to achieve for our date night. But it was memorable because had it gone to plan, I'm sure we would not have remembered that date really very much at all.
Yeah.
But we remember because it all went wrong. And you can laugh about it. And it's just, yeah.
And I think one of the really neat things about doing things like that as a date, on date night or any time really, is that it gives you those shared experiences and it bonds you together. Those shared experiences are things you can look back on, you can laugh about, you can talk about, you can bring up any time with that person, and you've got that connection. That connection is always there. And that connection is not there with that memory for anyone else. So
yeah, well,
that's really important. That's one of the really important aspects of date nights.
Yeah, it's your memory. It's your relationship's memory. Have a laugh about it. It's unique. It's unique to you. Yeah. And you experienced it together. Had a laugh, and you can still laugh about it 28 years later. I reckon here's one option for a date. Go back to that same dry cleaners, do some dry cleaning, get KFC from that same KFC, and then go and watch half a movie.
Yeah.
Yep. I just thought of that just then. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Sharon. So we'll start with your beach idea.
If that dry cleaners are still there.
I think we should ask if we can pay only half the price of the movie to only watch half of it.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. How many rounds of the ABC do you think you've done?
We've done 2 lots of ABCs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably for another one.
I'm real keen to do some more.
Yeah. All right, that's
Yeah.
great.
So if anyone out there wants a challenge, want to do ABC dates, like I'm prepared to start this Thursday, and we'll compare notes.
We're still in lockdown.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's not about what you do. It's the
B is for bubble bath. There you go.
So do you want to talk, Robert and Sharon, more about your annual weekends away? I thought it was really cool the other night how you were sharing, Robert, how you try and incorporate all 5 love languages into your weekend away.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's something I do try and do when we go away, especially for a wedding anniversary, or well, often it's wedding anniversary or for Sharon's birthday, so both of them are sort of special times. And one of the things I've tried to do is to make sure that I fill Sharon's love tank over the time that we're away, is to organise or bring things that are going to feed all 5 love languages. So the last one we went away, and must have been during a break and lockdowns.
For our wedding anniversary. It's
For our wedding anniversary, end of
beginning
June,
of July.
I bought her a gift. Well, I brought her a gift. So that was one thing. So it was in a box, and yeah. So I gave that to her. So that was the gift aspect. I took along some massage cream so that we could have some massages, and I could, so we got touch. I had prepared her a whole series of my favourite memories of Sharon and the things that I was really thankful for her, thankful about.
So that's the affirmations or affirmation.
Yeah, words of affirmation. Where are we up to?
Acts of service.
Acts of service. What did I do for that? I can't remember.
Can't remember.
I would have done something.
Yeah.
There would have been an acts of service there as well, and quality time. And I made sure that that was the one with quality time we did. We took a couple of copies of Susanna's prayer wheel that she talked about on Family Matters, with the circle with the 12 segments in it, and we divided that up. And over the course of the weekend, we spent quite a bit of time just together praying through all those different segments. And that was actually a really bonding experience. Just the prayer wheel itself was really
totally
neat.
I really appreciated that. Yeah, that had gone to so much trouble to put that together, put all of it together, but I just really did appreciate that prayer time together, particularly.
Yeah, that's really
I
nice.
guess you can't go wrong if you're meeting all 5 love languages. We heard about that last time, didn't we? And it's apparently it's vital to meet those languages, to speak each other's languages, they say.
So I figured hitting for all 5, I was bound to get one right.
Yes, Robert. There we go. Now, I was going to say, you guys must know your love languages well and truly. So it's almost got to be a target each week, roughly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyone who's into quality time, if one of you is into quality time, then date night is a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah. Sharon's a quality time person.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And Robert's words of affirmation. So, I need to do a lot more work on that. I have to say, Robert is a lot more creative than I am, and he's the one that will come up with all the creative ideas.
Until Sharon thinks about it, when we do date nights and stuff, it's like Sharon comes up with some awesome stuff.
But yeah,
I would never have thought of hopscotch on Howick Beach.
That's probably didn't appreciate it.
No.
Yeah.
No, you've already commented on Robert quite a lot, Sharon, already this evening, and just before, saying he's quite creative. So by the end of the night, Robert will be bouncing. So
yeah, I was just going to ask as well how your family, like your children, like they've grown up in a house with their parents doing date night every Thursday night. How do you think they've responded, or what do you think their feelings have been? Have they been supportive?
They have been supportive. Yeah, they've taken it on board. When we first started going out, it was when our eldest child was 14 and he could now babysit. There were some nights where it got a little derailed because with a much younger child at the other end of the scale, sometimes things that went a little pear-shaped.
Yeah, so when you got a 14-year-old, we had a 4-year-old as well. So
yeah, so sometimes things can be a little pear-shaped, but you know, the older they all got, the more they just knew that was our night out. They respected that, they appreciated that, and to the point where Rosie bought us a date box for last Christmas with a book in it full of date ideas. She and Karis have also put together a jar of date night ideas for us as well. So yeah, they've all
it's quite cool because like for Christmas well, both of them did a similar thing, a clear jar with lots of slips of paper in it with all sorts of date night ideas, and I think Rosie's one had a whole lot of like fairy lights in it, so you could turn them on, and Karis
and little Hershey's Kisses
and Hershey's Kisses, yeah. So that was really nice.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful.
Robert, got a question.
Uh-oh.
So date night comes around, pretty quickly when it's week to week. But you have developed a technique to make date night last almost the whole week, and I need you to share this because it's a hot tip for guys.
Okay, rightio. And you probably I don't do this every week. I'll just put that out there. But if you want to make it a real special one, even if you haven't thought of an idea yet, you can make it extra special by going, darling, Thursday night, I'm going to take you out for a special date. I'm not telling you what it is, but it's coming Thursday night. Be ready. And building that anticipation. And then you still got, if you say that on Saturday, for instance, you've still got 5 days to think about it. You've still got 5 days to come up with something, 5 days still to get a babysitter or whatever you need to do. But you've done that first bit and she's starting to get ready. And that just makes date night so much more exciting. And you just keep coming back to that during the week, drop this little hint, drop that little hint, oh, you'll need to dress up, or you'll, or bring your gum boots, or, whatever it is. And it just warms everything right up so that at date night, you're both really and raring to go. Woo! Shouldn't have chosen those words, should I? Obviously,
that's a good one for R night. Ready and
R night,
ready to go, And that's cool. So anticipation,
Anticipation is a big part of it, That just makes it extra special.
I like it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now you've already
and even if you're going to do a surprise, I learned this the hard way as well. Sharon doesn't take well to surprises. I organised a
complete surprise.
Complete surprise one night.
That was a weekend.
It was a weekend away or a night away, and I'd organised. It was sort of like a really romantic weekend, I thought, because we were going to go to Wairua hot pools, and I booked a private spa, and I'd booked the motel next door, and I'd sent them up candles on a courier and said, can you light the candles for when we come in?
Put chocolates on the bed
and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, and then that night came, and we were supposed to have visitors. And
I had no idea. So I had invited visitors to come that night for dinner. And so Robert then rang them up and said, can you please ring up? This is what I planned. Can you please ring up and just make an excuse, say you can't come? So they did. They rang up with what seemed the most flimsiest of excuses why they couldn't come round for dinner.
And I'd already arranged for mum to ring up and say, oh, shall I have the kids tonight? That was great, you know. So mum rang up and just rang up Sharon and said, oh, we'd love to have the kids tonight.
Right.
So that's no kids, no
kids.
visitors. I said, oh, let's go for a drive. And I'd already put the packed bags in the car. And so we hop in the car and we're just driving. And I said, oh, why don't we get up this way? Oh, why don't we go onto the motorway? Why don't we go let's go to Wairua? And she says, oh, I haven't got our togs. Oh, I've got your togs, don't worry. And anyway, we got up to Wairua, we had our spa and everything. Sharon just wasn't seeming to be enjoying it. And, you know, and we got to the motel and the candles were on and everything, and she just burst into tears. I was like, what is going on?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And he was feeling terrible by this time. That yeah, and I felt terrible that he was feeling terrible. But anyway, he learned. I don't do surprises. As long as he tells me he's organising a surprise, I'm okay. But complete surprises that I've got no idea about, I just don't seem to be able to cope with.
So that's why it's really important to do the anticipation. You know, we're going to do something on Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it is, Saturday morning, you know, we're going to do it and be ready, you know.
Yeah.
Extra brownie points for anticipation.
For the record, Sharon, I'm the same. I would be exactly the same as that. Yeah, if I know it's coming, I'm okay. But yeah, out of the blue surprise.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
No
I mean, it didn't help that I was really tired, and so, you know, if it had been my choice, I probably would have just stayed home for the evening. But you know, if you're anticipating something's happening, then you kind of geared up a bit more for it. But when you're not, just, well, for me anyway, didn't work.
So again, another memorable experience from your date nights.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you've learnt so much about each other in this, haven't you? Really, you've learnt
loads.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can just tell, and obviously the connection's just stronger as a result. So this is good. This is a wonderful thing to induct into our marriages for sure.
Do you think, is there anything else that you want to add about date nights that you think people need to know? Any closing comments?
I think we've pretty much covered the bases. I guess from my perspective, I just reinforced that a lot of it's not about what you do. It is about spending that time together. But you know, if you can inject it with a bit of fun and a bit of anticipation, then that just ups the bar.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be expensive, you know, or anything like that. It doesn't have to be out. I'll just say too, like, you know, I've talked about going to the movies. That is not a good date to do. You know, if you're going to do, once in a while, sure, but it's not. You're not interacting. Sitting at the movies, you're sitting side by side, and you're watching the same thing, but you're not doing it together. It's an individual activity. So you know, something more like, you know, if you're going to go out and do something like that, mini golf is far better, or bowling or something like that, where you can actually interact and laugh and enjoy it with each other. But then it doesn't have to be expensive either. I mean, we had a date night the other night when we couldn't go out. Lockdown, and I sent Karis out. Karis was going shopping. I said to her, "Oh, while you're out, get me some bubble bath," and she couldn't find any. So I looked on the internet and I found a recipe for bubble bath that didn't involve stuff that we didn't have, and which was liquid hand soap, egg whites, and sugar, and something else. can't remember, it might have been some sort of oil. And wow, that made the most amazing bubbles. And Sharon loved the bubbles.
Oh, no, I'm not. Makes things with these bubbles. Amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. And he got Karis to get some grape juice and some cheese and crackers and grapes, you know, some special treats and yeah.
So we just, you know, and it was great for a date night, you know, and it was pretty cheap. But you know, you can play cards. We've had a lot of date nights where we just played cards, sat in our room and played cards together, or other games, or you know, board games, or just talked. We've read books together over date nights, you know, a chapter a week. You know, something like what we talked about love languages last week, you know, pick up your love languages book and read a chapter a week together.
Oh, cool.
It's great, and talk about it. You know, do it every second week or whatever. But you know, it's a great opportunity to do all sorts of stuff like that. You know, set up a tent in the backyard. Ron and Catherine having a date night tonight.
Yeah.
That's right.
Under their booth, probably in their spa when no one's looking. So.
I mean, the ideas just come flowing, guys. You just the more that we have you on, the more it just comes out. You've done this a long time, and so you've managed to come up with some fantastic ideas. I tell you what, people are taking notes. People will be watching this recording flat out. You know how after Family Matters quite often that you would add a link or something that you might have said during the talk? Well, make sure you add that recipe for bubble bath and send that around to everyone, because I'm quite keen to get that. So I know, I mean, it's egg whites, sugar. It sounds like a pavlova, but yeah,
it was quite like a pavlova, yeah.
But I want to get it right, you know, and experience that. That's going to be great. So, but man, we've had a bit of fun tonight. I think it's probably time that we might have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
But obviously afterwards we can share more stories, because I can see that you're just bursting full of it. And so you've inducted this date night once a week, and it's been going on for such a long time, and it's been such a blessing to your marriage. I can see that it comes
Absolutely.
out in both of you, and your connection and your relationship. And without a doubt, I'm sure anyone who watches this are just like, okay, you know, this is important, and you've made it a priority. Hopefully other people might be able to make it a priority and induct it as well into their lives. So thank you so much for that. That's huge.
It's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank
no.
you. And it's not with it because you've got announcements.
Oh,
What are the
yeah.
announcements?
I've got to do my announcements.
Yeah. Where are they?
Robert, this is what you normally do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Normally.
Okay, so before we finish and close, there is just some announcements about what's coming up. So what is coming up? The very next one is on the 11th of October, a couple of weeks' time, and that is titled Work-Life Balance with Rod and Sarah Bowen. So you'll be welcome to Dunedin that week. Bit of fun there. And then the following Family Matters, which will be on the 27th of October, is titled Loss and Grief, and that'll be covered by Kathy Strachan. Yep. So some good stuff coming up for sure. Emails, if you want to be added to this Family Matters emails, make sure you email Robert at thinkythings.com, and you can get the weekly updates about what's coming. And past recordings of Family Matters are on the PK website. Just Google PK website, and you'll get to the
Pakarang and Christadelphians.
Yeah, PK Christadelphians. That's right. And you click on the top one pretty much, hey, and then it's all going well. You'll get there. So check out the links on the. Is there anything up here on the chat screen yet? Great. No, well, I'll tell you what, Robert, we can make this official, and I'll get you to close this session in prayer.
Cool. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the joy that you give to us in our marriages, and we thank you for the opportunities that we have to be able to spend time together and to grow together. And as we do so, help us to appreciate you and the love that you show to us, and the love that you pour out on us, and the love that you allow us to, your love that you allow us to experience in our marriages. Please help our love to grow. Help us to join together, to grow in joy and in hope and in love and in commitment to each other through the times that we spend together. Thank you for this evening that we've all been able to spend together. Thank you for Darren and Josie as they've hosted it tonight. And we pray for your blessing on all marriages everywhere, that you would grow them and strengthen them, give everyone the strength and the courage and the grace that we all need. Please be with us, we pray, through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.